Hey, good morning, good morning, good morning, people. Good morning. Yeah, I did the orientation, um, I had it on horizontal rather than portrait. Well, it didn't take, and so that's why it's long like this. Well, good morning, people. Good morning. Here in Rwanda. Yeah, you're looking at my window. Yes, good morning. Remember back in America, I did my videos. It was early morning, and you saw the skyline. But now, you're getting more the tropical version of it. See the beautiful trees out there. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit. No, I did. I just stood like this so you can see more. Yeah, good morning. And that's my little feet there. Good morning, people. Wow. Yeah, I've been up maybe an hour by now. And little Lavi, he's over there, my little baby boy. He's all snug as a bug in the rug. Yeah. 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 All is well here. Yes. Good morning, all in Rwanda. Today is Saturday, August 16, 2025, and the time here is 8:36 in the morning. Hope you all are doing well. I am well. Oops. I'm doing well here. Just had a lot on my mind. You ever feel like you've done a lot of little things? You just want to like document it, just want to get it off your chest. Um, yeah, all is well here in Rwanda. Lavender's well, his appetite is good. His eye infection pretty much cleared up. Um, yeah, all is well. I want to talk about some things here. I want to talk about, let's see, I want to talk about this product that I bought. I bought a, what do you call a smartwatch, I think a week ago now. Yeah, it was a week ago Monday, I believe. Was it this Monday? I forget now whether was it this Monday that just passed or the Monday before. I forget now. Um, yeah, I bought a smartwatch and it is broken. And I also want to talk about a more touchy subject. I wanted to, I was watching two programs, two YouTubers, and they were discussing one is like a reporter, and he goes out there internationally now, and yeah, he goes all over America. He's an American fellow, and he also goes overseas, and his work is really interesting. And he had gone to Brazil about a week ago. And I was back in New York. He's in D.C. now, and he's covering the news there. And this other YouTuber all the way from Scandinavia, and he's talking about he talks about cultural changes, and so both of them, um, I'm kind of touched by the feelings, like the guy from Scandinavia, he was who I was just listening to. Yes, good morning, viewer. Good morning. How you doing? And where are you watching from, if you wish to share? So yeah, in particular, the guy from Scandinavia, I feel sad for him. Um, I like watching his program because I like programs like I like listening to talk. I used to listen to talk radio, and I like talk YouTube where people come on and they just talk. Yeah, I'm not. I'm not like. I'm not very intense in the way I talk, but some topics could be a little controversial. Um, but I like to just talk from my heart. And yeah, I'm still in bed. I'm not looking the best, and so that's why I don't want to be preoccupied with my looks. That's also why I don't always show myself. But back in the day on YouTube, yeah, you all saw me. But now as I get older. I don't want to be preoccupied with my looks and just get out the content. You know, uh, talk from your heart. There are people out there who want to, hey, I see yes, hi, Great Rock. Hey, good morning to you. Yes, good morning. Yeah, first time that I'm seeing your name here. Yes, welcome, 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 welcome. And so, yeah, people need people. And I know I need people. Even though I'm on YouTube a lot, I watch YouTube all the time. I think I'm addicted to it, to be honest. But I am still someone that wants to connect with human beings. And so, me and my little doggy, we go out for walks. And I still like to meet people. And, getting a little doggy is a great way to meet people. Yeah, because people are curious, and it's very disarming. And I say, "Hi, my dog's name is Lavender." It's a great way to introduce yourself through your little pooch, and he's a great comfort to me. I got my little dogs. Um, I mean, only Lavender is alive right now, but I had initially gotten three dogs, and as many of you know, that two, my girl doggies passed away uh, about a month after arriving. But my little boy is trying to get his health back. But they were a great way of meeting people, and I got my dogs to be a comfort to me, to have something to engage with, because society is not the same anymore. Yes, thank you for the thumbs up. Good morning, good morning, good morning to you. Yes, yes, I value my viewers. I have a very modest YouTube channel. This channel has been on for 11 years. 11, if my memory serves me right, I started this channel in, in April. Yeah, in April of what, 2014 or 2013, I forget now. But yeah, it's over 10 years old, over 11 years old. And wow. So, yeah, I welcome you all this beautiful, beautiful uh, Saturday morning here in Rwanda. And, I like watching other programs. I like listening to talk YouTube, if I could say that. I like to hear conversation. And I was listening to this channel. He's from Scandinavia. He's a man, and he comes across like a real he-man, and I like listening to him, even though I'm not from there. Um, but and yes, he's so Caucasian. He's a from that part of the world. I'm not from that part of the world. Well, actually, my DNA does show that I'm 17%, 16 or 17% Scandinavian that I get from my father's side. And what's funny about it, my father, I made a joke about this before. Um, my father was a very dark-skinned man, dark-skinned black man. And his father is from St. Croix, U.S. Virgin Islands. But my father kind of looks like that particular man, that YouTuber from Scandinavia. Yeah, you can say my father is the black version of him. They kind of look, you know, my father looked like a black Santa Claus. I say that affectionately. Yeah, my father's no longer alive. But I kind of watch him. I say, he kind of looked like my father, but I know he doesn't look like him, but he reminds me of him. He has the same teeth, same smile as my father. My father had like a squarish type face, a wide face, just like this guy. And so I kind of watch him, and I think, uh, I feel that connection. And he, excuse me, and he talks from the heart. And he does talk about immigration, and so I will be talking about immigration through a perspective of someone coming from the West. I was born and raised in New York City. So I will be talking about that. And so, yeah, he seems upset about where how people are acting these days, that the men are acting very cockhold about things. Reborn. Oh, someone say, CIA agent said, "What connection? You dad reborn as him." That is funny. That no, I'm not saying. No, I'm not saying that. No, I'm not saying uh, that my father's reincarnation. No, yeah, because my father passed away 16 years ago. He passed away in uh, July 11, 2009. Yeah. And so this guy is already alive, this YouTuber, but he has the same face. And getting my DNA, I mean, I look nothing like this man, this YouTuber, but I know what my father looked like. My father passed away when he was 77, diabetes related conditioning. But the face is the same. And it's just kind of funny that, see, people can have similar facial features, but be of a so called different race. And then when you get your DNA done, you have to have my DNA done. And I, it says that I'm 17% Scandinavian, and my mother got the same one done, and she doesn't have it. So I just theorized that I got it from my father's side, and St. Croix, U.S. Virgin Islands, was a territory of certain countries in Scandinavia. So it just, oh wow, it's just something that is genetically. And so when I see this man on YouTube, I see my father. And, me and my father we didn't have the best relationship. That's all I'll say. But I was there on his bedside, at his deathbed. I was there by his side. And, I wanted to give him honor, with that. And I like as you said, saw him off. I gave my prayers, my last words to him, and everything. Um, so watching this YouTuber does give me a sense of comfort sometime, and I like that this guy, YouTuber, he talks sense, um, and he talks from the heart. And my father was big like him also. That's the thing. My father's very big bone, and this man also, yeah, big bone guy. And so I'm used to seeing big men, and I'm used to seeing uh, masculinity. I was oftentimes the only female in the house, and I had five brothers and a father, really, they're all big. I was the smallest one. I do have a sister and a mom. We all raised together in the same household. But it's just something, when you're used to certain things, you know, you're used to seeing certain attributes in others, the phenotype. If you're used to big people, you like seeing big people. That's all. But either way, so he was talking from the heart about society, this YouTuber from Scandinavia. And also, I watched this other new YouTuber. I call him my little greenhorn. He's a very young fellow from America, and he's also Caucasian. But I don't mind listening to different race people. Um, even though my channel, I had a channel that was very black centered, in the sense that I talk about issues regarding the black community. But I was raised, with other types of people in the world, and being the black sheep of society, I didn't really fit in America. I didn't really fit in Black America, or being someone born in New York City. I felt I was always an outsider. I didn't speak the same way as many of my counterpart. And I was teased growing up because how I spoke. But see, I don't hold that against them. It's just where their mind was at the time. But either way, it shapes you. And so I may not like, I'm here in Africa right now. I live in the country of Rwanda, a very beautiful place. And if you have money, the more money you have in life, the more comforts that you'll be able to buy. And so, Rwanda is a beautiful place, beautiful people. I got fed up. I moved down here December 2023, and I briefly had to leave for 2.5 weeks and came back. There was an urgency I had to fix. Um, but yeah, I've been here since. And yeah, I had left initially the United States of America. I'm from New York City, and I left because, um, I left because of um, in New York City it was total chaos. And people aren't people anymore in New York City. Yeah, I did meet some nice people there. But I had some bad things that happened to me. And it was a lifetime of chaos there. So, yeah, I'm a very sensitive soul. And, sometimes I use potty language. I say the F word, you know. Um, and this YouTuber, the Scandinavian YouTuber, is also pointing out that, yes, he uses the F word. But, I never used to curse. But I think it's my way of rebelling and going against that part of me that, I was supposed to be ladylike. And, I got slapped once from saying, the SHIT word. Yes, I did. Yeah, I got slapped real hard across my face. And I was an adult. I was 18 years old at the time. Yeah, I confronted that person about that. But yes, I think it's my way of rebelling to say, if I want to say an F word or the SHIT word, I'm going to say it. But yeah, and all respect to my viewers here. I don't want to offend any of you. But yeah, I there was some things that happened in New York, and yes, I was a Trump supporter, and yes, I voted for him. Many of you know, I voted for Trump all 3 times, but I see that there are some things that I don't like what's happening with Trump. With regard to what's his name with uh, Jeffrey. Let me just say the word Jeffrey Epstein. There was some things about Jeffrey Epstein that is very extremely problematic, and so I'm disappointed with Trump with regard to that. But yes, with regard to immigration and things like that, living in a place like New York City, when in 2023, to 2021, 2 and 3, we had this immigration crisis that was really, really problematic. And it was hurting people. I think in particular, it's hurting Black Americans. Yep. It's hurting us firstly, because they are put these illegals. Yeah, I use the term illegal. See, it's not immigration, it's illegal immigration. See, when you work off the books, when you work in ways like that, that hurts the economy. And there's no taxes coming out from this money that people are unlawfully earning. And it's not going into the Black community. It is sucking us dry, and it's taking away jobs from America. Yes, there are jobs that the immigrants are doing that Black Americans and white Americans wouldn't want. But I had applied for some of those jobs back in the day. I used to work in the cooking field, in a hotel restaurants. And honey, I wasn't wanted there by these people. Yeah, they made it a living hell for me. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. That was my experience. I've always been with people from other nations, and I love that about New York City. And initially, the foreigners were people that I associated with, so I don't have a problem. See, if people are leaving the view of the video because of who I'm talking about. You know, it's okay. It's okay to have different opinions, to like or dislike somebody. It's what makes the world go around. It's about taste and what makes you comfortable or what makes you uncomfortable. It's okay to discuss these things. I'm not saying these things because I want the whole world to agree with me. I've never really been someone that spoke in ways that people agreed with, and I'm aware of that. But either way, you know, so this other YouTuber um, is investigating again what's happening in DC, and that you have again more riots that are happening. Um, and I feel sad about this. And yeah, he went. Oh, if I remember right. Oh yeah, he went to D.C. and then he also went to I think Minnesota. Yes, Minnesota. And in Minnesota, there is a large Somali immigration, Somali uh, communities that live there in Minnesota. I always understood Minnesota because I met people from Minnesota, and there was this movie um, uh, in, involving Minnesota many years ago. I forget the name. And it kind of made fun of the locals that live in Minnesota. And their background is from coincidentally, Scandinavia. I used to know this lady from Minnesota of Norwegian ancestry, and she was very proud of it. And she was a nice lady. She was who she was, but she was a part of this roller skating group that I used to associate with in the mid 1980s. Yeah, so this is going back a long ways. And so and also I had an opportunity to visit Scandinavia, the same place I had visited Norway. That was actually the first country, coincidentally, that was the first country I ever visited. It was the first foreign country I ever stepped foot on. It was Oslo, Norway, and then I took the train to Stockholm, Sweden. And yeah, it was very modern. Uh, Norway seemed more like a party place, and at least where I went, but I did go to some clubs, and it was very international. You had people from Africa there, these big dudes from Africa, real big boned, other European countries, and we're all in this room, this club, and all the menus and everything is in multiple languages. Yeah, Norway had an international flavor, so you could be of any race, any color there. No one bothered anybody that I remember. Yeah, and then I took the train over to Stockholm, Sweden. Now, Stockholm, Sweden was more had at least where I went. It seemed very conservative, quiet, and they only had their language on the menus and everything. But yeah, they did speak English, of course. They spoke it, but the written language when I went to the hotel, it was a little tiny place where I went to, and it was in their language, and I respect that. I respect people who love their language. So, yeah, so going back with the immigration situation there in what's happening in America. So there's a YouTuber. young guy, call him the little green, the little greenhorn, because he's a very young guy. I think I first saw his channel maybe 2 years ago, no more than three. And so he looked even younger back then. And but he does these bold things, he's very bold in his approach to interviewing people. He's a report he's like an independent reporter. And I have respect for him. He makes me laugh because he has this dry way about him. But he's good at what he does, and people like him enough to even to talk to him. He recently came back from Brazil, and he went to those what we call in America ghettos. They have another term for it in Brazil. I forget the name. And yeah, he got to meet gangsters and everything, and he had this. He was holding the thumbnail, this firearm in his hands. He looked cool. He was really interesting, and people liked him. They liked him, and I mean, he goes in there. He goes in there and he investigates, and he's non-judgmental. But his latest video in Minnesota, he did come across a little, I'm being honest with my feelings, he did come across a little controversial in his word usage regarding about uh, Islamic takeover. He used the term takeover. And and that is can be like a trigger word, what it may imply. He is not a Muslim, the guy. He's a Christian faith system. Um, but he went in there in Minnesota, and again I thought Minnesota was very Scandinavian because the people who I met back in the 1980s and that movie that was made, it really focused on people whose background is from Scandinavia, and that part of in my opinion, when I went there, it seemed kind of conservative. It wasn't freaky at all. It seemed traditional, um, but it is what it is. So, well, a plane is coming. Wait a minute, you hear it? Still going. Sorry about that. I don't compete with the planes that fly over your neighborhood. So, yeah, this is a little controversial. I'm going to speak about it with regard to my experience. Now this YouTuber interviewed. He went into a mosque, and he had permission to go in and interview the members of this mosque. And it's about the rise of Islam in America, and that by and large, the people, the new people, again, this area in Minnesota has people who had come from primarily Somalia. Somalia is heavily Islamic, and they were refugees. They got into the U.S. Via being refugees. And surprisingly, one of the people who were interviewed arrived in 1990. So that's over 30 years ago. And he hardly knows any English. But he was an older man. And I guess if you're in a community with people from just your country, um, you may not have a need to speak it, learn how to speak English. And but his word usage, this YouTuber who's interviewing the people of this community in Minnesota that is primarily from Somalia, um, what their thoughts were about what their thoughts are about being a member of a religious group, to be Muslim, what does it mean to be Muslim? What does it mean to wear a hijab? Things like that. But the questioning was the rise of Islam. And that is like a trigger statement. And so that's what I wanted to talk about, the trigger aspect of saying to about something being a takeover a region. It could make someone feel paranoid. Again, whatever what your religion is your business. You have a right to be any religion you want. And many of you pretty much know my opinion about religion in general. If it serves you, you serve it. Okay. Um, I used to be a Christian, but I no longer follow any mainstream religion. And it was a choice that I made. And for me, about religion in general, that I felt that it kept me in bondage. It made me just think in terms of a book, and it's who wrote that book. And I had a paradigm shift uh, 10 plus years ago that started from a YouTuber that I used to watch religiously. Yes, pun intended. Yeah, I religiously watched this lady's YouTube channel, and she was going through she was going through her spiritual journey as well. She used to be a Jehovah Witness, and then she became a what do you call it? Hebrew Israelite. And then she came to an understanding. She was researching. And so for her, she broke out of a formal religion. And she shared a book. And I was probably one of the first people to buy her book. And it kind of traumatized me. It forced me to look at history. And it shook my paradigm system. And it was a very painful process. But either way, your religion is your religion. And if it serves you, you serve it. But the talk of religion, like I can understand how someone might feel that, like, let's say you live in a community and it had a particular demographics, and then overnight it changed. And let's say you have a growing number of a particular religion in your neighborhood, regardless what it is. And you wonder, how do you fit in this new system? It could be a little frightening to some people, um, especially if you don't understand what that faith-based system is. Maybe in that particular religion or faith-based system, they dress differently. That could it could intimidate people. I think me initially, I was someone, I was always a very curious person about trends or yeah, I was almost recruited years ago in the early 1980s to the Moonies. Remember, guys, the group, they call them the Moonies. It's named after this Korean guy, Sun Young Moon, I think his name was. And he created a religion, and he would even marry thousands of people at one time, big arenas, and making massive weddings and everything. And you saw them back in New York. The members of this organization, they were selling flowers, and they always had that glazy look in their eyes. It was a cult. It acted like a cult, and yeah, they tried to recruit me, and my parents were furious. Now that when the people that I met in that in the Moonies, I did not know. Like they used a different name. I forget the name of the church. Um, if anybody remembers the name, what the official name of the Moonies are, you can share it down below. But they gave a different name. And so I just thought, because I was invited to, mainstream religion churches, trips, people from my neighborhood, hey, you want to go to this, our church is having this trip, to Great Adventure. You want to come? Hey, yeah, okay. You know, so it wasn't any big deal. So back then in the early 1980s, I didn't see them as a threat. Uh, I didn't know who they were, but yeah, they would have, because what they do, they ask you to if you want to go on a retreat. Wait a minute, plane coming. They ask you if you want to go on this retreat. It's like a weekend retreat. Yeah, you should go to a weekend retreat with the Moonies. You don't come out because they brainwash you. I don't think it would have worked for me because even though I was young and naive, sorry, young and naive, I questioned a lot of things, you know. So, but either way, it that did happen, and that's probably would have what the attempt would have been. Like they say all this love and light stuff, but it's not about love and light. It's about control. Yeah, these cults are about control. But either way, with regard to Islam, it's a big religion, and how um, what happens? What's happened in the United States? Well, this YouTuber was saying that Islam is the fastest growing religion in America, and that they have more children than the general population in America. People who are not Islamic. And so the fear that I got from this YouTuber was that if you do the math, that if non-Muslims, in particular Christian-based uh, Christian-based religions, um, are only having one plus kids, and people who are now coming from nations where Islam is prevalent, that they're having three or more kids. So you do the math, and over time, uh, they will surpass the Christian community. And that's what his concern was, it seemed. And so um, Christians, I mean, Islam in New York City, like the people who tend to be from Islam, um, new arrivals, they come from North Africa and parts of West Africa. And there's a large growth of people in certain parts of Harlem, and many of these people are Islamic. And it's quiet there because, like, they're not so much classified as Muslim, but they're classified as Africans. They're African people who are Islamic. But if they're from like North Africa, yeah, they would be classified as Arab and Muslim. Okay. Um, uh, yeah, I don't I didn't see any threat about these groups. I guess because the perception, see, it's all about perception. How do you perceive them as? Do you perceive them as just an extension of the Black community in America or Islamic? And what about Islam? Again, I'm not I'm not an expert on the religion, and I'm not here to judge anybody who chooses that as a faith-based system. That is your business. But what does it mean as someone coming from another nationality recently who might have this religion? What does it mean to the general population? And how will it affect? How will it affect the, like, let's say you live in a community and you're Islamic, and let's say you in a Christian, surrounded by Christians, how will there be conflict involved? What type of conflict that might arrive? Like what do I mean by that? Okay, uh, when my understanding, when a particular percentage arises in a community, when it reaches a certain level, that they may take ownership as their neighborhood, and that's in any system, any demographics. When the percentage of any particular group rises to a certain point, then it seems like there's a sense of that it belongs to them now. And so let's say in a religion, if a particular religion outgrows another religious system, do they have to, how would they then be treated, the now minority of the group? And in some communities in America, in my experience, that when a particular religious slash ethnic group reaches that point, you have to follow their rules. And that aspect is problematic for me because you are who you are. And I don't feel that you have to follow the rules of somebody who just came by. You have the right to be who you are, and they have a right to be who they are. And I don't think either group to impose its rules and regulations on somebody. But like in this one community that I saw, like if you're doing business, let's say you have a business, and in this particular like okay, I'm just gonna say it. There was something that happened in New York City. It was a Jewish community, an Orthodox Jewish community. And this particular business owner was not of that faith system, but he was there. And in Orthodox Judaism, you're not, you have to uh, follow the Sabbath. And so, but the guy wanted to keep his business open on Saturday. So the members of this particular community, Orthodox Jewish community in New York City, said, you're not allowed to do business, even though you're not Orthodox Jewish. You're not allowed to have your business open if your clientele is Orthodox Jewish or Jewish in particular. If you're dealing, if you're catering your business to this Jewish community, for you to maintain your business in that community, they ordered him to not do business on that day because he was in their territory. In a nutshell. In a nutshell. So I had a problem with that because the guy is who had the business, I think he was always there, but now that a particular demographics became the dominant fixture there, for him to do business and to have clients from that demographics, he had to comply. And that is a problem. What about Sharia law? Now, again, I'm not an expert at all regarding Islam, but I heard the term Sharia law. And it is my understanding. And again, please correct me if I am, if you could expand on what Sharia law is. Um, but my understanding Sharia law is about uh, the that domain that you live in. If the masses of the people are Islamic, that it becomes like Islam becomes the law of that domain, every aspect of it. It becomes almost like a miniature Islamic state within a country because the numbers of the people of that religious community live there. And so you have the general law of the land, like let's say New York City. Let's say in New York City. And what could happen in New York City when the numbers grow of Islam, that they may take that same angle as some other domains in the United States, and it could become Sharia ruled rather than the Constitution or whatever what the laws of that particular state, whether it be the state of New York, New Jersey, Texas, California, etc., etc. It could change overnight if the numbers of that domain grows. And so that could become a problem if, let's say, you can't wear certain outfits. Let's say you're a woman and your arms are exposed. You may, or your head is exposed. That could be a no-no in that community. And years ago, I think this is also what happened to me. Like, I consider myself international in the sense of I've always been around different types of people in New York City. New York City, especially Queens, Queens has the highest number of different ethnicities, I think, in the country, at least in New York, Queens. It's very international. And I like to cook. I like cooking and I like experimenting with different spices. I've always been this way. When I got my own place, uh, I, I'm just, food for me is a comfort, you know. Um, I may not look it, but I do like good food. And for me, when I think back of some of the foods that my mom used to cook, and I reminisce, I said, and so I want to cook that particular meal that my mom used to make as a way of comforting myself, and making it makes me feel secure. Um, but I went to this place in Queens where I used to live in Queens. I was born and raised in Queens, and then the last 21 years of my life, I had lived in Manhattan, but I wanted to get certain spices, and so I went and took the train to Queens. It's one of the five boroughs. The boroughs are Manhattan, Queens, Brooklyn, Staten Island, and Bronx. Those are the boroughs, the five boroughs that make up New York City. And I was born and raised in Queens, but Manhattan is the center of New York City. It is the heart of New York City where everything happens, and you can get anything in New York City in Manhattan. Uh, but I wanted to get these spices. And so I visited this area, and it was maybe like a mile and a half from where I was actually raised. So it's not far, it's in the area. And this was the. And I'm not sure exactly. They're South Asian, so it could have been Pakistan or Bangladesh area. They were Muslim. Okay. Now, I wore a skirt. The skirt was just above the knee. I had a shirt, a top, and then a sweater over it. The sweater was open. And in American standards, I was dressed respectable. And I was in, let's see, my I was probably in my early 50s, late 40s, early 50s. So I'm a grown woman. And I go in and I'm looking for curry. I do like curry, people. I love spicy food. food. So I wanted to buy some curry and I think some cinnamon. Yeah, they have. Yeah, when you go to those ethnic shops. Yeah, so I went into an ethnic shop, as some people might call it, from South Asia. They were Muslim because how the woman was dressed. The owner or co-owner, whatever that worked there, they wore Islamic attire. And I couldn't give a crap what your religion was, especially back then. Um, I'm used to seeing all types of people, um, and so I didn't think anything of it going in. And I was looking at the spices, and you know me, I could spend a long ass time trying to decide what spice, whatever. But there was a gentleman there. He looked like a customer. He had an infant in his arms, and he's at the cashier. Then he turns around and says, "Oh, could I help you?" Could-" I said, "I'm good. I'm good." And then I think the lady, the front of the cashier, yeah, she was wearing Islamic attire. Her head was covered. Then she comes up to me also. It's like this unwanted attention that was done to me. Being imposed on me. I felt, and she's talking, and um, and then I noticed like she started to like prim herself, like like she, women do this to me, like so you don't have to be of any religion, but for whatever reason, women, like I'm generally taller than most women, and I'm very slender, and so I have a presence about me, I guess, and um, and I have my naturally hair, whatever. I'm very modest with my hair, you know. Um, but she started priming herself to try to boost up her sense of self-esteem and sense of beauty of herself. I noticed, she was priming her veil, and yeah. Then why is she doing this? She was trying. What I felt was that I'm not I'm not Muslim, and I was considered a someone of a foreign element, and they wanted their presence known that they are who they are and I am an outsider. It was not about, in my opinion, it was not about, oh, do you need any help? And you know, and why was the guy? The guy was looking at at the cashier like he really knows about spices, but like he's gonna be cooking at home. No, his wife is probably gonna be cooking, right? But it was like making notice that I'm there, and I was fine. But what I felt, at least what I felt, again, I don't know what's in their mind, but I knew that it seemed like to be a problem. And I was very soft spoken, and I said, "Oh, I'm fine. I like curry. Hey, could recommend a curry, whatever." But I felt that was to get me out. Get in and get out. Don't stay in here. And she was also looking at me up and down. And then that's when she started priming herself, like trying to make herself feel beautiful. And I was just, in American opinion, I dress very bland. But this particular, funny, on a side note, this particular sweater I have, it was like I had a shirt underneath, and then a sweater on top of it, long, long, long sleeve sweater. But this particular sweater seemed to give me a attention that I didn't want. It was jet black, and it had this faux fake fur on the collar of it. And again, it's worn open, and it always gave me, I don't know. I threw it out. I actually I gave it away or threw it out. I gave it to like maybe the Salvation Army. It gave me attention that I didn't want. It was just a simple, solid, jet black, long sleeve sweater, lightweight sweater, but it had this faux black fur around it. And it gave me attention that I didn't want. Yeah, I wore a black skirt. I think it was a black skirt. I think it could have been a red sleeveless top, and then the black sweater over it, long sleeve sweater. And so I felt that I was treated the way I was because I wasn't their own, and the attire maybe it looked too sexy for them. I didn't feel sexy in it, um, but it is what happened to me, and it reminded me of what if I go to a community, a conservative community, and what if they don't approve of what I'm wearing? I'm born and raised in that part of Queens. I lived like a mile and a half away from that location. So it's pretty much my neighborhood. Should you, being a native born person, again, I'm not here to shock anybody. I've never been about that shocking people, because I was basically very shy back then. This was probably over 10 years ago. But what, should you have to be the one to change? Again, I'm not here to be a shocker of anybody or offend anybody. Just like I don't want people to offend me, you know? Um, so how do you handle that? How do you handle when your neighborhood might be changing and maybe they may not want you to buy from their store because maybe you're not one of them, or maybe they disapprove of what you're wearing. Okay. Um, it could happen. And if this demographics, this conservative religion starts to outnumber the demographics that you were born into, how is it going to affect your life? And it's that aspect that is concerning me, that you as a native born person could then have to survive there, you may have to dress like them. Maybe you won't be able to get certain foods anymore. Let's say you eat pork. Of course, in Islam, you cannot eat pork, right? So it's going to limit your um, functionality, what you were raised into, what the type of products that you can get. It could affect your lifestyle. That aspect of religion. Again, you choose your religion. It is your business. I'm not here to insult anybody's religion. So that was an initial concern. Watching this YouTubers visiting an area in Minnesota that has a predominance of Somalis who are in general Islamic, and it's a conservative Islam. They many of them cover everything, and they're also getting into American politics. And that's another issue. How is it, you know, how is it going to affect you down the road? And then watching this program by this white YouTuber, very young fellow who visited Minnesota's Somali community, it brought me back to an incident that happened to me uh, over 40 years ago in 1982. And I'm sure many of you may not have even been born in 1982. I was a teenager at that time. And I had an opportunity to go away for school. I lasted one semester there. It was in New York, in Newport, New York. A very beautiful campus. They had new equipment. Oh, it was nice. But socially, I didn't care for some aspects of it, to be honest. Yeah. And I think because of some of the incidences that happened to me, I said, I got to see what it was like to go away for school. I wanted to go away to school in my freshman year, but I had to wait 2 years after graduating from high school to go away. I was not, my father said you're not allowed to go away for school, and I really wanted to go to that school, and so I went to a local school, local college, and I had a little job, and after 2 years, I had the confidence to say I'm going away to school, and yes, I went. And at the school, I had this experience. Um, with the school, yeah, again, this is 1982. And the school there had a place called Shango Hall. And also, Shango is the name of an African deity system in West Africa. But it was named Shango Hall, and that building was actually made in my, if I remember right, and if I'm, excuse me if I get anything wrong here. So if I make an error in what I'm saying here, please correct me. Those of you who went to the school or know about the school, the part of the SUNY University at New Paltz, New York. It was created to house the African students. You had international students at New Paltz, and it was the premise that they're coming from such a foreign culture, and you want them to be comfortable going to the school, blah blah blah, and we want them to feel at home. They don't want to feel judged, whatever, blah 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 blah. And so yes, she had um, African students there. But the year I went, they had white people in that school too. See, in the application process, they ask you, do you have a preference of what type of roommate you want to have? And so I said, I don't care, you know. And I guess this girl that I befriended, well, I should say she befriended me, she didn't care. And so they have to place students somewhere. And so they put her in Shango Hall, and she had a roommate with a black woman, a black American woman. And what they were doing was harassing her big time. It turned out what happened. The white girl had saw me on in campus. This was like at the school. There was like a 2 week period of where you register, you get acclimated with the school, and then the semester starts. So you have to come there 2 weeks early to get situated, to get placed in your dorm, whatever. And so that's what happened. And during the 2 weeks, she sees me walking on campus, and she walks right up to me, right up to my face, and says, "Hi." She was very friendly. She's a white female. And she wanted to talk, and she invited me to her dorm. She seemed like a cool lady, cool young lady. But she should have, and what I'm angry at this time, I had no idea what to expect. And again, I wanted to meet people. I'm international in background, the people I met growing, in New York City. So I didn't hold, hey, if anyone wants to be my friend and reaches out to me, again, I was very timid back then, extremely timid. So I didn't see any, and I went to a high school that was very international. I had all types of acquaintances and friends from all over the world. So I didn't see anything odd that this young white female, would come up to me and start a conversation and invite me to her dorm. Well, I get there. It's Shango Hall. Yeah, I lived in a female dormitory, all female. And So this was Shango Hall was I think a co-ed, yeah, co-ed building, but they, but the male and female have separate rooms, of course. Um, so we enter her room, and there were these black females, those thug types, and I say that because I call see I call this channel, see I call it as it is, and call things as it is. What they were. These were these street girls, black female, black American females, and they were going through her things and they were throwing her belongings and cursing about her as we walked in. And then my new white friend said, let's leave. And we walked out. She should have told me what was happening. And I'm not here to protect anybody. I'm not your security guard. And she should not have exposed me to that. She should say, "Hey, look, I live in this. I'm in Shango Hall, but yeah, I'm a white female, and Shango Hall is a place for blacks and Africans, and they're harassing me." Yeah, she eventually did leave the school within the 2 weeks. You have a 2 week period to leave without, and you'll be able to get your money. I liked her. I didn't like that she didn't tell me, but I guess maybe she was embarrassed. She was from, I think, Long Island, New York. She was a New Yorker like myself. But I didn't think it right. Yeah, because the black girl, when we came in, she said, "Oh, these white people, they're taking over our dorm." Blah, 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 blah. Well, one thing that you pay to go to that school, you don't go there for free. It's like any service. You want a service, you paid for it, just like you pay for college. It's not free. And paid her tuition, or folks paid her tuition, just like I did. And I'm entitled to pay and get a service without someone saying, "Oh, it doesn't belong to you. It doesn't, you're not supposed to be here." It's a state university, for one thing. That means my taxes and her taxes pay for her to go there. Yes, they had to pay to go there, just like I had to pay to go there. And I wouldn't want anybody, white, black, yellow, red, to tell me I don't belong in that dormitory. She paid like everybody else. She paid for security like everybody else. And this witch of a woman, uh, she was a black female, very dark skinned black female. And she was taking a belongings and breaking it. I couldn't believe it. People, what will you do if you witness that? If you walk in a room, a dorm room, and then your roommate and your roommate's friends come in and trash your room. And that's what they were doing. I don't care what your race, religion, national origin, you don't mess with people's property and break it. And saying these horrible things. Yeah, I'm looking at the number, how many viewers, and people dropping. They don't want to hear the truth. I'm being honest. This is what happened, and this is what I actually witnessed. I know, as a black woman, so-called black woman, I wouldn't want to be in a dorm. Let's say I had a white roommate and her white friends go and trash and break my belongings and say, "Oh, these bad, nasty black people taking over, blah, blah." I wouldn't like that either. I wouldn't want that, especially if I'm paying for a service. If I'm paying out of yeah, I pay for my own college. My folks never paid anything for any college for me. I paid. And I had to take out a student loan. Yeah. So that's what I saw. So either way, with this Shango Hall, the lady, the young woman, she left the school. She says, I'm going to go to a school in Long Island, and go to school there. And I followed up on her months later, just to hear how she was doing. But I felt badly for her. And see, that's how racism perpetuates. Some people feel justified in doing bad things to people because what someone did to you. Yeah, you have evil people. And you had evil people that did bad things to me. I had white people that did bad things to me growing up. And I had black people that did bad things to me. Okay. But I don't believe, despite all those things that happened to me growing up, I don't believe that you should sabotage, damage, uh, other people's property. I don't believe in that. If you don't want to be around someone, don't go there. That's how I honestly feel. You don't like a particular group, whatever what that demographics is, don't hang around them. Don't go over there. But do not destroy, do not do any physical harm to them. If someone physically tries to harm your body, you have a right as a human being to protect yourself. And that is my stance on things. Okay? Yes, I believed it so much. I didn't like what was happening in New York City with the race card. And yes, I did get attacked by this crazy young white female. Yeah, and other things, theft, that this guy tried to steal my dog from me, the Hispanic fellow. I didn't like that. All these bad things. It's like I didn't fit anywhere. Um, I felt in danger, and I decided for myself to leave for my peace of mind and safety. And yes, I did choose Africa. Yes, I chose Africa. I hope you guys can hear me well. Yes, I did choose Africa to live because I wanted, I mean, I wanted, how do you say this? Yeah, I wanted to be around normal Black people. Um, I wanted to embrace my African heritage. Um, people in America, Black people in America, they have to be taught to like their Black self. Yeah, I say that. I've been around a lot of Blacks who hate their hair, they hate their African hair, and they abuse their hair. I've seen this. You have some who try to bleach their skin. This is self hatred, in my opinion. And again, I've shared many stories. I was in the beauty industry also. Yeah, I have a lot of experiences in many industries. And I think this was also part of my spiritual journey with this. I was exposed to racism when I went to beauty school back in the mid late 1980, to be specific, 1987. I went to cosmetology school. And back then in New York City, there's very few outlets for Black Americans to go get their hair done. Yes, Black people had their son, but they really didn't, even Black Americans didn't have an understanding of their hair, nor did they really appreciate their hair. But yes, in the 1970s, it was the Afro movement. And I have pictures of me in an afro, a big afro. Yeah. Um, but the respect of the hair, the beauty of the hair, growing up in the 1970s and 80s, it really didn't have it. You go to the typical Black American neighborhood. They did a lousy job. In my opinion, they didn't know hair. They didn't know how to style hair. They did an awful job. But in New York City, what started growing, you had a large number of people uh, from Haiti and the Dominican Republic. They share the same island. Now they can do black hair, and in particular Dominicans. They're known for doing hair. So I think what saved New York, at least helped Black America, were these, in particular, Dominican. There are more Dominicans than Haitians in New York City. But I think in particular, the Dominicans do the better job. It's a larger country, larger, they, they, they've been around a long time. I guess culturally, the Dominican Republic, I think, is the oldest country or domain um, since Columbus. Meaning about European influence, the Dominican Republic, and in particular the Santo Domingo. Yeah, so that island that you have such a broad spectrum of blackness there, the full spectrum from very light to very dark, and all different hair textures as a result of the many, many years of mixing with the Spaniards. Yeah. And so they have their institution, their beauty institutions. And they know they do a great job in general. Um, so that I think helped New York City and introduce different hairstyles and things like that. And I'm wondering in the like the hip hop rap video community, who was doing those people's hair, right? I wouldn't I wouldn't doubt if those hairdressers were from the Dominican Republic. They're some from somewhere, and most likely the Caribbean. Yeah. But either way, yeah, I did face a lot of racism in the beauty industry. Um, where to get service. And again, I kind of have that look, not black enough, but not white either. And so I really, at times, I got hit hard um, in treatment and how I was treated. Um, so, where was the point I was getting about the hair, your booty? Oh, God, I forget how I. Yeah, everything is interconnected, though. Oh, what was I talking about? I was talking about oh, the early 1980s, and I went to Newport University, and the culture. Okay, why would a black person hate their fellow black? I never understood it. Yeah, yeah, Citizens the X. Yes, yeah, because people in America, you are taught that you're not good because of your skin color. You're not you're not your hair is considered inferior, your skin is inferior, your lips are inferior, your nose is inferior because it's not the of the dominant culture, which is the Western European. And even within the black community, the Black West Indies, or even the Afro Latino community, is a lot of colorism, meaning the more European your physical attributes are, you're considered more beautiful. And they don't many times they become experts of taking African texture here and make it look European. They have aced it. Especially the Dominican Republic, they've aced it. They're very talented at disguising their hair to make it look like European hair. Um, oh, what was the point? Now? Yeah. So um, my experience. Oh, yeah. So that school had Newport's College had these dynamics, and I lasted one semester there, and I decided to go back to New York. And then, coming back to New York years later, I did go to cosmetology school because I love toiletries, things like that. It didn't work for me. But 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 there was an incident that happened at Newport's that I wanted to talk about. Oh, dog is howling. Poor doggy. I hope he's okay. Yeah, I feel sorry for the doggies here. Yeah, okay. So yeah, so again, I was open to new things and everything, and they had a large African community, and back then there were Ethiopians and Somali, and they looked different there. Yeah, they look different than the general black in the Americas, who've been in the Americas for many, during slave trade and all that. So that's generally West African. They look very different. Um, they I found them, the Somali. I met this Somali guy, young guy. Again, I'm 19 years old. and they look beautiful. Their skin was real black. And you ever see a pretty man, you know, there are men that actually are pretty to look at. They have a, I mean, how do you word it? Like some facial features seem more feminine than others. And that's what he had, a very feminine face. Pretty, pretty, pretty face, this man. And I wound up on a double date with Somali guys. My friend had a Black American friend at the school. She's also from New York. She's from Long Island. We both went out with these Somali guys on campus. And the guy I went out with, yeah, some Somalis have money. Yeah, this guy, again, I don't know whether he was a refugee. So I kind of, who knows? This is 1982, but he's Somali. And he wore this Italian made suit. Yeah, he was looking sharp, people. Oh, wee. Yeah, he wore this Italian made, probably was custom made suit. He looked sharp. It was a nice dark suit. And we went out. I don't know what I wore. I don't remember what I wore. I didn't have um money. I was just a teenager. Uh, um, I, I didn't even bring a lot of clothes. I know I had some dungarees. Uh, I didn't have money back then, and I always lived very frugal. Back then I wasn't into clothes either. Yeah, I was a real cheapster as it came to clothes. I wasn't into clothes or my looks really. I know I'm contradicting myself because I did say I went to cosmetology school, but I found it fascinating. I like toiletry. I like soaps and body lotion. I just had this thing for it, and and shampoos. So I had a friend that that became a hairdresser. We went to the same high school, and she left high school. I'm sorry, she left college to go into learn cosmetology, and I had got in touch with her, and she said she's just here now. She left college to go to cosmetology school, and I didn't really know what I wanted, and I was bored with college, and so eventually I went to cosmetology school. But I was just fascinated with the stuff of cosmetology, but I wasn't into my personal beauty really. I was very self-conscious about my looks also. Very, very self-conscious. Um, and I found that if I tried to dress up a little bit, I would be mistreated by the girls. Yes, I was one of those type of women. When you dress up, you get, God forbid, you get your hair relaxed as a black woman, and you have that texture here, kind of like a mixed race people here, and it can grow a little bit longer than the majority of the Black American girls. You are hated. Yeah. So I was taught I couldn't really look beautiful, dress beautifully because I would get flack from the Black American girls. And, some of the white girls, I think, didn't like me either. You know, it is what it is, but mostly from Black American girls. Seems like people from the Hispanic world, you could dress pretty. The Latin America, and I'm part Latin also, but not Latin Spanish. Um, have a French and Portuguese background, and so my looks kind of look like some of the Hispanic girls, in New York City. But culturally, I am American. That's how I describe myself. But either way, um, so what happened on this date? Um, I mean, it was just okay. It was just a going out, and so me and my Black American friend from school, and then these two Somali guys, we went out on campus, and Somali. See, I didn't really know anything about Somalia. anything. I didn't know geography really, but I know they were from Somalia. And what happened? Now it's nighttime, and the guy that I was with, both couples, me and the other couple, we're right there, we're outside. And then he starts asking me, I want sex. You heard me right. He said he wanted to have sex with me. Right in front of, oh God, right in public. I said, what? I said, I don't even know you. I don't even know you. Then he says, well, how long will it take for you to get to know me so he can have sex with me? I said, you out of I was embarrassed. Here I'm 19-year-old, real naive. And you see a guy, he was a good looking, pretty guy. Yeah, he was a pretty man. He's probably like 19, we're probably all the same age. But I was offended. I was so embarrassed. And then the guy goes on the ground on his knees. He says, please, please, please have sex with me. Please have sex. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. Has anything like this ever happened to anybody else who's listening? You ever go out with someone from a different culture than you and they act like this? I've never had that happen to me, that blunt. Yeah, I never went out with them again. Yeah, the name was Hassan and the other one was Fahan. Yeah, the names rhymed. Yeah, and I didn't like that at all. Fast forward now. I went to, this is back in New York. This was in the 1990s now. I was at a restaurant and I met another man. Yeah, so now I'm like in my 30s. And this guy, he talked to me and we exchanged numbers. Or I gave him my number. He asked for my number, whatever. And I didn't think anything of it. And he calls me late at night. I think after 10 o'clock. This thing about 10 o'clock and guys. Well, he calls me after 10 o'clock. And he says, you see little Laffy? Poor baby. Poor baby. Yeah, that's Laffy, my little doggy woggy. I love you. Oh, he has footprints. Okay, so I have to clean up. He probably went potty in the bathroom and he's tracking all over the floor now. But either way, okay, let me get back to what I was saying. Um, yeah, so he calls and says, hey, I thought, hey, maybe we can go out. Now, I only talked to him that one time at the restaurant. It was a brief conversation. It was pleasant. And I wanted to get out of my shell and meet people. I'm in my 30s. And I tell him, I said, well, everything's closed. It's after 10 o'clock. He said, where did you want to go? Oh, I thought maybe your place. Well, well. Yeah. You know what they call in America when a guy does that? It's called a booty call. Right, people? It's called a booty call. When a guy calls you 10 o'clock at night or after 10 o'clock at night and they want to do something. And I've never talked to him prior to this conversation, other than at the restaurant. It was just brief, cordial. See, he was from Somalia also. Somalia is predominantly a Muslim country. And what I'm upset about, so you have people who have their faith-based system. Then again, you have a right to your faith-based system to practice how you want it to. But it just seems like in some faith-based systems, especially in traditional domains on this planet, that you have some guys, see, they know in their own community that they're not allowed. You better not have sex with a girl uh, in your community in these very strict domains on the planet, because those guys, the fathers and the uncles and the brothers of that girl will probably want to kill you, you know? And they probably kill the girl also. Okay. So, but see, they don't see, they know they can't do that in their society, and that will include a place like Somalia. They can't just have casual sex in their country because of their religion and other things that might um, that their culture is based on, you know. And so I am offended that, see, if you have your faith system's supposed to travel with you when you go to other domains, other countries, other societies around the world. But no, their faith, oops, I have to plug it in. My batteries are low. When we get the plug, ugh, you plug it in. Okay, well, it's not, I hope the power didn't go off. Let me make sure that the power didn't go. Wait a minute, wait a minute. Okay, okay, I don't know why it didn't make that funny noise. Wait a minute, I have to get it. Okay, now it's green. Okay, okay. So I had it plugged in, and then when it's fully charged, I take the plug out. But now a prompt went that it's low energy. Okay, let me get back to what I was saying. My apology. Okay, see, your faith system's supposed to follow you no matter where you go. I assume, right? If you're of X, Y, and Z religion or faith-based system or culture, you bring that culture, your faith system with you. And I resent that when individuals go overseas or they go outside of their territory and then they prey on women and they do go against what they are allegedly supposed to believe in and disrespect you. You don't want women, you don't want the women where you live to be disrespected or harmed, right? So why go and do that to another woman, another from another culture? Because they don't respect the culture that you believe, that you live in. He wasn't respecting my culture. Yes, you do have women in America who are out there. We all know that. But the fact that I said no, he should have respected my belief and respect me enough and say, "Oh, I'm sorry. My apology." Because maybe, okay, maybe he thought that I am that type of woman that would have a one night stand. Because that's what's unfortunate. That is what is pushed in many uh, American media. But not everybody is of that mindset. Some people have boundaries, okay? And the fact that I said no, and then he goes on his knees and he's having a tantrum in public on campus for me to go into sexual activity. And he just wouldn't back off. It was quite embarrassing at the time. Again, I was 19 years old, you know. Um, so why I mention this story is about, okay, like what's happened in Minnesota. Now, what's happened in Minnesota, I mean, many years later, I think the refugee, please correct me, did the refugee issue with Somalia and them entering and being brought over to America, to Minnesota, was that from the 1990s? I think it came about in the 1990s. But either way, you know, I'm thinking about that you have a growing number of people from a particular faith-based system. And within their own community, there are rules and maybe even a Sharia, a potential Sharia law being initiated in certain locations in America. And in that Sharia, if it turns into Sharia law, you as an American, let's say you're American and you don't belong to their faith-based system, what about your safety? Will they respect you? That is the question. That is a big question. And some faith systems, um, that it is okay to lie. You heard me right. In some faith-based system, it is okay to lie against someone who's not of your faith system in order to protect the goals of that faith-based system. That's what I found out about. I said, wow, isn't that something? So some faith communities can deceive the population that they live around. They could deceive the I say it again, they can deceive the population that they live around in order to gain a stronghold on that domain so they can control it. And that's my point. That you have individuals in faith-based systems out there that in their scriptures, it says you can lie upon the people who don't belong to your faith system, and you're not supposed to steal from that faith system, members of that faith system. And I heard about things that this person was robbed and they were not oh, I'm sorry, they were raised in that same faith-based system. When the parent of the child who robbed this other person, when that parent found out that that person that was victimized was of that same faith-based system. Oops. Well, it's not charging now. Why does it go? This phone is acting up. I don't know what's going on. It's low. It's turning color. It's turning red again. Okay. I don't know what's going on. Okay, now it's green again. Now it's charging. Okay. So I don't understand why. Yeah. Oh, what happened? The parent of that victim, uh, reimbursed them what was taken of them. But they only did it because they found out they were of the same faith-based system. If they weren't, they wouldn't have reimbursed that person of the money that was taken from them. Yeah, these were young people. And the parent reimbursed the other person only because they found out they wanted to save face in that community, that faith-based system. Sorry, it's getting the color. Something's wrong with this phone. It's getting red again. I'm sorry. Wow. Yeah, I got this phone here in my domain here. Yeah, it's acting up. It's glitching. Yeah, I have an iPhone. All my iPhones that I had, two prior iPhones to this one, they work beautifully, and I only got this one because the app it outgrew the app. It outgrew. Yeah, so I couldn't use like YouTube anymore because that the version it outgrew itself. It couldn't handle the new apps, the YouTube app. So I had to get, I love my YouTube. And so I only got this one and it's glitching bad. Oh God, it's shit. Sorry about that. This is awful. Yeah. Yeah, when you go over, well, my concern when you go overseas also, when you go overseas, you may not get the same equipment either. Yeah, you may not get the same equipment. Even though I went to a place that specialized in iPhones, and here it's not working right. And I have a feeling maybe it was not really a new phone. That's what I'm thinking. Because Apple is an excellent company in its manufacturing. I mean, all my products were Apple, had an Apple laptop, Apple phone, what else? Apple iPad, and they always worked. Well, buying stuff here in Rwanda, any technical, it's a piece of crap I'm seeing. I'm really pissed. Yeah, I bought a watch about a week ago, a smart watch. I was contemplating getting an Apple Watch, but I wound up getting a Chinese watch, and I got it because it had a larger face on it. It was big, and I like big watches. So, because I don't see very well, small print and everything. So I always choose things the largest face of a watch, to purchase. That's me. That is me. Yeah, I'm trying. Yeah, it's getting red again. Oh, this it's not charging properly. Not charging properly. Damn it. So either way, yeah. So you have to be, see, as a woman, you really have to be careful about people who, they pretend to be conservative because they might be a member of a particular faith-based system. It's not the faith system that defines a man, their soul. What type of soul does that person have? I don't care what your religion is. What type of soul do they have? That is your guide. How do they treat other people around them? How do they treat their parents? How does he treat his mother? All these things that women should consider. It's not the religion, it's not the faith system. How do they treat people? That should be your guide, I think. It's really hard because people's attitude, people can hide behind faith systems. I know of people who were of a Christian faith, and they beware of men who always want to talk about how good a Christian they are. Watch out, ladies. Yeah, they might say, oh, I go to Bible Babel church to seduce you, to get you trusting them. And they could be a demon. Yes, people. I had a friend. I know I'm kind of going off the track, but it's all related. It's about protecting yourself, people. Being aware. Don't go based on what someone says, what they are, but it's what they do. And I knew this lady from the West Indies. I used to live in the West Indies also. And she was going out with this guy who was talking about, oh, he's in this religion. He goes to such and such church. Well, you know what he did? I'm not sure whether that, yeah, I was invited to her wedding. And yeah, when she walked on the aisle, she was in prior relationships. She had a kid from a prior relationship, and she invited me to her wedding. This is in the West Indies, and she was shaking as she walked, real bad. Right? I don't blame her shaking, because she later told me what happened. One day, this so-called person of that faith system grabbed her by the throat and started choking her. I kid you not. And I met the guy. He started choking her and said, if you ever leave me, I will unalive you. Yeah. No, yeah. That's what happened. Yeah. You have people who masquerade And be careful that your religion or your faith precedes you, because that's whatever what your true faith is what precedes you. It's what makes you who you are. So if what precedes you is a thief, a liar, a scammer, that is what you are. You are not your faith, organized religion. Anybody could be born into an organized religion, but that really doesn't define you. What you do defines you, people. So this live stream is not about insulting people's faith-based systems. Anybody could be of anything. It's people's intention. What are their intentions out there in the world? What is their intention when they come into a foreign country? Because some faith systems permit their attendants to lie on their neighbor, to lie about their intentions, to protect what they're really about, to protect the group that they belong to, because they have ulterior motives out there. You watch and see. How are you treated when you go into a store from someone from another system that is different than yours? How do they treat you when you go in? I'm not saying to do anything freaky, don't dress freaky looking, whatever, or weird behavior. You go in respectfully to buy something. How you treat it, you know? See, money is king. And it's like people would do anything for money. Many people would do anything for money. And their faith system flies away when it means that they can get money from you. So, but then when something, is hindered, how you treat it is hindered because you're not a member. See, that is a problem. That is a problem. And I see in America why I left. Part of the reason why I left is that people weren't who they really are. And it's all a race about controlling others, controlling the domain that they live in. Like New York domain is being taken over by, in my opinion, I believe America is being taken over by socialist, communist people. And they've been working at it since I think the 1950s. And I believe that many of these people are controlling the narratives and are triggering people who were at one time normal people, but they use psychological engineering to harm the minds of people in America, to make us afraid of one another, to make us choose sides, left or the right, the red or the blue, you know? And it's like, it wasn't like this. It wasn't like this, America, when I grew up in the 1970s and 80s. People couldn't care less what political party you believed in. But now all of a sudden, everything is about division. But these social engineers, as I call them, are manipulating the way people feel. They're manipulating what's right and what they're making people confused about what their gender is. I never heard of this growing up in the 70s, 80s, or 90s. I mean, we saw movies about people, some people, men dressing as women, but we all laughed. It was meant for you to laugh. See, they introduce it to you because they're going to later use it as a social weapon against society. And now they're targeting young children to doubt who they are. Could you imagine? Who are you? The basic foundation of who you are, what gender are you? Gender is not a social construct. It is a biology. And your biology dictates whether you get pregnant or whether you impregnate, right? It's a difference. It's not social engineering. It's either you're male or female. And in that, if you are with the opposite sex, someone is going to get pregnant and someone's going to be a father, right? So some things are biology dictated. But social constructs such as, what type of clothes you wear, that is um, socially by design, wearing a dress or wearing pants. Yeah, when I was a little girl in elementary school, I wore dresses, maybe 99% of the time. It was when I entered junior high school, I wore pants. The last day of school in junior high, I wore a dress. I wanted to feel like a grown up because I was going to high school. But in high school, I wore pants. Yeah, yeah. So society is making us want to distrust everybody. I think they purposely brought in the illegal immigration in masses in America to overthrow America. Again, there's nothing wrong being where you're from. This is not what this video is about. But if you do something illegal, illegal is illegal. Just like I cannot go into any African country illegally. I will be deported. Period. Period. That's all I'm saying. You got to follow the rules. You cannot just enter any foreign country without the documentation. And if you're found out, you will probably be thrown out of that country. And maybe even in some countries, you'll be thrown in jail first. Okay? You obey the laws of the land. But now is this um, reorganizing the landscape of America by the type of people that they are allowing in masses. And I'm talking about the large influx of masses via illegally. I'm talking about what is illegal. There's a process. And that was deliberately done, part of the socially constructing to get opposites, like a place like Minnesota, because I was talking about Minnesota, because it used to be heavily Scandinavian, and then they bring in a group. I was told they came in as refugees, but you're bringing in someone who looks different, dresses different, different religion, different outlook in life, and then plop them next to a stable, one stable community. Now it's like a free fall. And it's not just in Minnesota, it's all over now. And so I became afraid about the things that I witnessed in New York City. Yeah, you have a lot of illegals that are done. And some of them are even using babies as props to beg for money. Yeah, and that happened to me. Yeah, they were from Venezuela. It was a couple, young couple, and this was during the fall season. This is, I think, in 2022. Yeah, I think 2022. And I was with my dogs. They were in a stroller, and they had the sign. The guy had a sign to beg for money, and the lady also was sitting on the ground on the sidewalk on the corner, and she had something on her lap, and then she lifts it because she saw that I was going to walk past them. So she lifts up an infant. It looked like a newborn baby, people. It looked like a newborn baby in the fall season, just wearing a diaper. I remember seeing these little legs dangling down, skinny, skinny arms dangling down, and then the head had a big, big head, and it was drooped downward. And I was in shock. Yeah, she knew that would shock me. And so I said, okay, uno momento, por favor. And I pointed that I would go in the store, and I came out with groceries, of food for them, both of them. Yeah, I bought a whole meal for both parties. They both got their little care packet, food packet. And I was also looking for baby food. But it dawned on me, newborns don't need baby food. They just need mommy's breast milk, okay? Yeah, but I was looking for formula. But either way, when I came back to and handed them their packages, where was the baby? They were standing up by this time, standing up on the corner, and she had a big ass kid in her arms. And that's not that, and they were in different clothes. What the hell happened? I said, "Oh my God, was that a real baby, or was that a prop baby, or what? Did she borrow someone's baby and then she had like a toddler?" I know the difference between a newborn type of baby and a 2-year-old. Okay, that is what happened to me. And so they're being used, it's destabilizing the economy, the country as a whole, and endangering. If that was a real infant, it's endangering the life of that baby. Again, this was fall weather, newborn, bare legs, bare arms. Okay, that baby can die. I was all wrapped up. It was cold. It was cold. And you're doing that to children. And then I later find out the lady was on WIC. So if she's on WIC, she's on welfare. That means she has a place to live, she has food and cash. Cause she started talking a little bit, and she used the word WIC. I used to work for WIC. Well, I did volunteer work at the WIC office. WIC stands for Women, Infants, and Children, and it's a food program, and it's for any woman that has a, how do you say, if that woman has any health issues and is pregnant or has young children, her doctor enrolls her into the program. And any children you have, babies, or you're pregnant, you get on the program. Okay. And if you qualify, usually you qualify for something like WIC. You also can get SNAP and what do you call it? Food stamps, like public assistance. Yeah. So here she was a foreigner, and she's making, they're begging, and she's on the program. I felt so stupid, people. See, I do care about children. I care about the hurting. And that's why she lifted up the baby. I didn't know what was on her lap, really. I wasn't paying attention because I saw the guy with the sign. And then when she lifted up and dangled the baby, oh my God, I was horrified, horrified. So, yeah, so things are happening to shock you, to make you feel guilty. Yeah, they're even getting white people in America to feel guilty for being white. Don't be guilty. Don't feel guilty about anything you are. You are who you are. Just like don't feel guilty about being black. Don't feel guilty about being Hispanic. Don't feel guilty about being Asian. Don't feel guilty about being rich. They want you to feel guilty about being. Wait a minute. Isn't all those videos that you see, the hip hop videos, is all about having money and power? Isn't that what it's all about? What they're promoting about being wealthy and powerful. Don't feel guilty if you are rich because you worked hard and you got your money honestly. If you got your money honestly, don't feel guilty. Do not feel guilty. Don't feel guilty about being any race because you have a right to be who you are as a human being, you know? And so they want to put this guilt on white America. Yeah, I know I've never been popular. I know I'll go back and forth. Yes, I'm very pro-black, but I'm pro-humanity. I'm a member of the black race, but but I'm also a humanitarian. I care about all races and people out there. Because see, if you all look the same, you really are one people. We all go through the same thing. We are born, we live, and we die, and everything in between. But they want us to hate ourselves, to hate one another, And I fear these things that's happening in America to destroy it. And I knew for me, I needed to get out. Boy, my phone is still acting up. I'm sorry. Um, I knew that I felt that I was in danger living in a place like New York City. I love where I come from, but I don't love what it's turned into. And I fled from New York. I fled from here. I don't know for certain how long I'll stay here in this country. There are a lot of things that I love about uh, Rwanda. It is physically a beautiful place. But I'm not a spring chicken anymore. And some things, as you get older people, you want to feel the comforts out there. You want to get access to the foods that you like, the comfort foods, safety when you're walking on the road. Like, you want roads that are. I'm not talking about crime, but yeah, you don't want to live in a high crime area. But I mean, like safety, like is the streets level? Is it or the is it big holes on the ground? You know what I mean? Because you're walking, you fall in a hole. You don't want that. You want your safety. So that's what I'm talking about. And so that's what's on my mind these days. I want to feel safe. I guess I'm feeling a little vulnerable these days because I'm watching so much videos. I'm watching so many videos. Primarily what I watch are American things, and I'm afraid for America. I still have family there in America, and I want their safety. And I want to feel safe. A lot of things are happening and switching in Africa. Some of the things that I might see on YouTube, make it a one Africa. But you have Africa, I learned earlier this week this guy from Tanzania, but he came from Tanzania as a child, and he's now a Rwandan citizen. And I was asking him questions, what places he've been to, if he've been to South Africa. He says, "Oh, as a Rwandan, he's not allowed to go to South Africa." Yeah, so even, just because you live on the continent doesn't mean that it's open borders. It is not open borders. And to my surprise, as he said, Rwandans are not allowed anymore to go to South Africa, something that happened a year ago. What happened a year ago, I do not know. But that's just what he told me. If you have a Rwandan passport, you cannot enter Rwanda. I mean, I'm sorry. Excuse me. I meant to say, if you have a Rwandan passport, you cannot enter South Africa. Okay. So I was surprised. I even think, even with this message, these things that you hear about the United States of Africa, I think in my honest opinion, okay, on the surface, that sounds fantastic. And, on a racial level, people might say, oh, blacks are helping blacks. I really think the concept of a United States of Africa, what it's really about is about the one world government. So you get one world governments done, in stages, like you have a United States of America. So it's about gathering information. Yeah, oh yes, my binoculars are real. Yeah, they're real and they really work too. I got them in America because I had gotten this filter for my binoculars there so you can stare at the sun. Yeah, I was curious about the sun and at one time, about maybe 10 years ago, about certain anomalies that was happening in the sky. And so I had this high tech, this zoom in uh, camera that has a special lens, the P. with a P600 or something, Nikon P600, I think it was, and you can zoom in to infinity, really zoom in. And I had gotten these special lenses for the camera, so I could look up in the sky. I could look up in the sun and the moon. Yeah, I had some pictures taken then. Yeah, that might have been in 2016 or something like that. Yeah. So either way, what I was saying, yeah, what I was saying about the One World Africa thing. Yeah, I really feel and here I live in Africa, in Rwanda, and people belong to nations. They live in nations. Okay, they're not, the concept of race, of blackness or white, that's really from an American mindset. The person might have been exposed to, living in a society, or what do you call a Western society, but I never hear that on the continent. Since I've been here on the continent for a little over a year and a half, I've never heard an African born person talk about blackness or one Africa. Never. I've never heard it yet. Never. And so they are who they are. They belong to the nation that they belong to. Or some people might live in tribal societies. So, what tribe are you a member of? But never about color. Maybe an African person raised in the West and then they come back to the continent. Just like I came, I'm born in America, exposed to racism and colorism. And I say, I want to go to Africa and be with black people, right? But within Africa, once you're in Africa, people have their own perception of who you are. Who are you? They see me and they see what they see. Africa also has different phenotypes. There are different types of people black people in Africa, all different types, different faces, different body types. So I mean, I've been mistaken for as an Asian, a South Asian. Yeah, some of them think I'm from Ethiopia. My coming here, you might think that you're going to be treated a certain way because in America, but this is not America. This is not America. And so people have their own exposure of who's who. And they never maybe they never really saw someone that looked like what I look like. And I could easily be mistaken by for another group within the continent or even Asia, you know? Um, so I realized that would probably happen. I am who I am. I don't speak the same way how they speak here. So they know that I'm from somewhere, you know. They're nice here. I like the people here in Rwanda. They treat me very, very, very well in general. They're very good people. I like the people here in Rwanda. I like them very much. Um, but the continent as a whole, the continent of Africa, um, yeah, there are more videos getting out there regarding the uh, the stresses, the international things that are happening all over Africa, like Burkina Faso. What's happened in Burkina Faso? It was a French colony, and people are fed up. But see, this is all part of that one world system that's being opposed upon the planet. And so now they want to, have to, create a problem. Okay, but how you go? Problem, reaction, solution. This YouTuber had shared. You create a problem, and then you react, and then you make up a solution for the problem. And now the solution is, hey, let Africa be one, like one nation. We have too many languages here, too many different faith system cultures. Um, so will something like that work? Now, I part of me does like the idea of having open trade, to allow Africa to commerce with others. But it will change the social fabric, in my opinion, of the members who live on the continent of Africa, because you have people of different cultures and religions and histories. And so, if you change one thing, you're going to change a lot of other things. And will it really work for the continent? You have a lot of people who don't have. You have a lot of poverty here, even though, in America, Black America in particular, or the West Indies, they don't like to hear the word, oh, it's poor people, poor in Africa. There's poverty here. It's not about shaming anybody. There are a lot of people who don't have. Yes, the continent may have resources, but the people don't have access to it. So what good is it when you have something beneath your feet and you have no access to it? You are in poverty. I've seen poverty here, honey. Yes, I have on the continent. Yes, I've personally seen it. And I'm not pointing blame or anything on them. It is what it is. Just like in America, you have poverty too. You have people who don't have in America. And then you have those who have. But in particular, on the African continent and in Asia also, and in Asia, you have the haves and the have nots. And there's a big gap between them, both groups. Yeah, you have people who have money on both continents, Asia and Africa. But a lot of people don't have. And so, what are you going to do? Again, call things as it is, as, what is, but not as a way to humiliate, deprecate, or anything like that. I am not about that. I've never been about that. I know what it's like to not have. I struggled in America. I struggled financially, but I kept quiet about it, and I always lived within my means. So I didn't go out to clubs. I didn't go get my hair done. I didn't get my nails done. I didn't get body massages. I didn't go on vacations. I stayed home. I stayed home. I lived a very frugal life. And here in Africa, I live a very, very frugal life. Yeah, yesterday I bought some T-shirts and I got a good buy on it. Basically just or tank tops, I meant to say, just to go with my jeans. I bought some jeans about 2 weeks ago or so, and I wanted the tank top to wear with the pants. I wanted it, you know. But outside of that, I bought lunch. It will cost like equivalent to 30 American dollars. I do that once every couple of months, So, yes, living here in Rwanda on the continent of Africa, yes, I try to live very, very modestly. And maybe to the masses here in this country, I might be considered that I have a lot. I live in a house. I rent it. It's not my house. I rent it. And I got a good price on it. But things are getting expensive. It's the price for everything. It's going up, 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 up. And when my lease is up, I'm afraid how much I'm going to be charged to live here. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so I'm really thinking how I'm going to, where I want to live long term. Now I came here thinking I will stay here long term. That was my plan. But living here, I'm really asking myself, because again, I'm not a spring chicken. I'm 62. I'll be 63 at the end of the year. And you want comfort. You want comfort and you want safety. Now, I'm safe here in Rwanda. It's a very safe place for women to live. But I'm not a spring chicken. And, I'm concerned about, I like my food. Many of you, I like good food. My major, I have my master's in nutrition, and I like food, and I like access to healthy, clean food, um, and I like abundance. And here, I mean, it could be a challenge getting food, and it gets tiring. I get tired, boy. And it is hilly here, very hilly. I mean, I love the hills, and I chose here because it has the beautiful Rwandan hills. It's the land of 1,000 hills. Rwanda, it's known as. It's beautiful. It's physically very beautiful. But again, I'm getting older, and when you get older, you have to think about those other things that are going to be a challenge to you. And again, one of them is about your safety and what is the social climate, just like what's happened in America. What's happened in America could happen anywhere, and what happens in America will affect other nations, including Rwanda. And that is my concern. And I feel that, hey, if something happens here, or if it becomes unaffordable for me here, I mean, the prices for land, for everything, it's rising up so fast. I may be forced to move. Now, it is my option, just like it was in America for anybody, that you have to pay to play. And if for me to play here, I have to pay uh, rising costs for rent, then that's what's going to happen. But I'm also, I want to live affordably. I know what it's like to penny pinch. And here I penny pinch because I am new here. I had to spend a lot of money relocating here. Yeah, it costs money when you relocate. And I had to ship in my stuff, and that was a couple of thousand. My dogs I had to bring here. That cost over 1,000. And then remember when they got sick and they're in, vet, that costs money going to the vet. Transportation costs. So yes, I lost a lot of money coming here. So I'm trying to regroup because see, I know that things can change overnight. And we're landlocked. We're surrounded by all these different countries, and anything could happen. It's like a domino effect. A domino effect. Someone say the wrong thing. Someone does the wrong thing internationally can spark fighting, just like what's happening in Burkina Faso and with the French people. What could happen in any country on the continent. And so I'm aware of that. And so I'm being very careful about my spending because I know anything could happen. And I better have the money to leave the country if I have to. Okay? For me, I don't want to go back to the States. I don't want to. When I left, I took everything with me. I closed my bank account. I closed everything. I sold or I gave away all my belongings. Only what I could physically take with me on the plane, and the rest to have it shipped in. And when you're shipping your stuff, it took me 6 months to get my things. 6 months. It's supposed to have taken 1 month, and it took 6 months to get my belongings. Yeah. So in the meanwhile, I had to buy like what you see there, my ironing board. Yeah. Yeah. You have to have that backup money. So let me see here. I see someone wrote something here. Let me see. Okay. 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 Council of Gamers. Okay, he's new on my channel. Oh, thank you for the heart. Okay, let me see here. Council of Gamers. Yes, welcome again to my channel. Welcome. Let's see. Oh, I had that as well. I just lost my cap. Oh, okay. And then they also say, well, if I have to actually say something about that, then here is the thing, right? What is right is basically what the masses think is right. Okay. Oh, interesting. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Your concept of what's right and wrong, the masses could determine what's right and wrong. Again, that's about culture. The general consensus dominates at times. Yes, exactly. Okay. Council of Gamers says, well, I do agree with you, but then I was once asked the question, who do you think is right, communist or capitalist? The answer to that question is completely ex- what completely explains your current conversation. Yes. Oh, hey, hi, Joseph. Hitimana. Yes, hello, hello, hello. All these new people that's on my channel. Yes, welcome, 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 welcome. Yeah, welcome all people. Again, this is my spiritual journey. Yes, I did. Yes, I'm a so-called Black American of diverse heritage and always felt that way because I just didn't fit into the mainstream America. But yes, I am living in Africa. I wanted to live in a Black society. But again, in Africa, that concept of blackness is not there. You are who you are. They have different ways of categorizing people or who you are, you know? But I wanted to live in I wanted to live in a place that I felt that I wasn't going to be judged, you know? But I, you know, I have been thinking, hey, I may want to explore other areas. I can't really travel right now because my little baby boy, Lavender, is my little boy. He's Lavender. He's my little baby. He's a Pekingese, and he's not well enough to travel. I don't think he ever will be. Part of me wants to move again. I don't know exactly what I'm searching for, people. I'm human like you. I have my faults. I have my vulnerability. I am who I am, and I am my experiences. Um, I like many things here, Rwanda. Again, the people here are very nice. Um, but it's infrastructure is not, it could be greatly improved. Again, this is not a slap or insult on the people here. Nowhere am I trying to insult anyone. I'm just being real. If I was young, like in my 20s, 30s, or even 40s, but I'm in my 60s, and you get tired, people. You do. You don't stay um, you don't stay young forever, and you want what is best for you. Um, I really do want to. When I before I left America, I said I want to visit every country in Africa. Yeah, but now I don't feel the same way. But there's some places I would like to see. I would like to go to. But there's Asia also. I've never been in Asia, or I should say, I've never been to South Asia or East Asia. I've been in the Pacific, I've been in the Caribbean, I've been in North America, I've been in Western Europe, but Asia, you know, uh, I have a friend that she's like an acquaintance I met a year ago, a little over a year ago. And this person's a businesswoman, and they travel all over the world. Yes, she's a Black woman, originally from the Caribbean, but moved with her family to Europe. And she makes money. And you have some Black folk who make a lot of money, who are highly, highly educated. Yeah, she's very interesting to talk to. Um, and we were talking the other day. And I was telling her, I'm not really sure about my stay here, and I asked her some opinions because she lived in Europe. She lived in Asia. Yeah, a Black lady in Asia. Yeah, you have people who travel all over the world who are business owners, and yeah, she took a sabbatical, It was to be a 1 year sabbatical, and then it turned into 2 year sabbatical. And she traveled all over Asia. And she kind of recommended to me. I said, I'm kind of like kind of feeling kind of down, and I like my food, and I'm not, it's hard to get really good food here. And because at one point I thought I wanted to go to Morocco, because Morocco got food, honey. But I'm not. But Morocco has its reputation about women in general. Okay. So I was telling her how I felt, and that I no longer want to go to Morocco. I mean that eagerness and that passion for Morocco has diminished. But I still want to go out. I want some good food, people. And she recommended Malaysia. I think that's the name, Malaysia, country in Asia. And she said it's international. She said she was there. She lived there. And she had all, it's international. You got Indians, Chinese, and Koreans. And then you have Malay that live there as well. But she suggested, hey, maybe you can visit, Malaysia. So I'm just keeping a mental note, and there's also a place called Mauritius too. Mauritius also is like a triracial place. You got Indians, Chinese, and Africans that live there. It's considered a part of Africa, but it's off the coast. What was it, like 1,000 miles away from the African mainland? That was another place that supposed to be, have visas for like tour, like I'm a retiree. So the different things that I was thinking about, my options. Again, I am limited because, my little boy, my little doggy woggy, him, his name is Lavender. His health isn't the best. Yeah, he's 12 and a half years old right now. He got sick when he arrived here in Rwanda. My girls had passed away a month after arriving. Yeah, you see his little legs shaking. Yeah, I love my baby. I would love to go overseas with, I know I'm already overseas here in Rwanda, but I would love to travel with him. But he's not the same anymore, And we went on a little trip. I took the little moto. It's like a 35-minute ride, 35 minute ride. We went to this restaurant that that allows little doggies, They take care of dogs. It's like a facility, and it has a cafe attached to it. And I went there with them. They have excellent food. I'll give them a plug out. It's called Indebo Cafe, and they have fantastic Western food. Ooh, wee, it was good. I had this soup, this beef soup. I like their fries. So it's like a steak fries, those big thick ones. It's baked and it's highly seasoned, and it has this guacamole dip. Ooh, wow! When I first had it, I said yes. Yeah, so I go there, and they make African tea. Yeah, so I feel it's progressive, and I feel comfortable there. And I bring my little boy, and they made for him rice and scrambled eggs. They make great scrambled eggs there, So he is, the trip, like we go there. I carried him in the his carrier on the moto, and the carrier's on my lap, and he's usually good, but he's been barking lately in the carrier when we were on the moto. I don't know what's happening to him. And then I was told next door to the cafe, in Dipple Cafe, was a place that had ice cream. Well, in particular, what do you call it? Not ice cream. I forget what you call it. But it's like a type of ice cream. It's from Italy, you know. I forget the name what it's called. And so I walked a couple of blocks, maybe 10-minute walk, and he was barking, barking, and in his carrier. And I don't want to stress him out. I don't want to stress him out. So I'm thinking, hey, if he was on a plane and, I can't have him barking. He doesn't like to be confined. He doesn't like that. So I don't know. I don't know people. I don't know people. So, I mean, I would love to travel with him, overseas, go to Asia, little Lavi in Asia. I would love that. But if it's kind of hard on him to just go on a moto in his little carrier just for a half an hour, just imagine going, longer somewhere else, I don't want to put that stress on his body. Um, I mean, I'm already overseas, but I really, maybe I want to show him off. I, it is my desire to. I mean, I would love to carry him and go to Asia and have some good food and things like that and walk around. I really would like that, but hey, uh, it's not really wise, It's not wise. So, um, yeah, yesterday I had to go into town. Yeah. Oh, let me tell you, with regard to, like I told you about different places where I can move to. Did you guys hear that the country of Benin, it's pronounced different ways, but it's in West Africa. I pronounce it Benin, West African nation. They're offering citizenship to people of the African diaspora from the transatlantic slave trade. And yeah, I did fill out the paperwork. I did. And when I tried to submit it, the money portion wouldn't go through. And so yesterday I went to my bank to find out how come the transaction won't go through, because they cannot process my application without the money, of course. So, but it turned out it was closed, both locations. So I'll probably wait for the weekend, I mean, no, wait on Monday. Um, I don't know whether they're open. They said come tomorrow, but again, here people tell you things and it's not accurate. They tell you one thing and it's not. It's not the case. So the only way to really find it, you have to call them directly and get the information. But even still, you can still be told wrong information. But anyway, um, so I'm just putting it out there. I found out about it maybe 3 weeks ago, and about Benin. This lady, this rap singer, um, I think Shakira. I think her name is Shakira. I've heard of the name, but I don't listen to that genre of music. She got her allegedly. Well, I shouldn't say allegedly. She got this paperwork that she's now a citizen. But what I don't know, but okay, I have to tell you about this program. Um, uh, See, there's a provisional citizenship and then a permanent citizenship. And with the provisional one, it's for 3 years, and then you have to be on that in that country to apply for permanent citizenship. Okay. And so they had other aspects to it that I was concerned about. See, when I first heard about Shakira and these other videos about Benin 2 months ago, opened the door for citizenship for Black people, people of Africa, in specific, those people from the victims of the transatlantic slave trade who were brought to the Americas, to bring to that they'll give you citizenship. is it, how conditional is it, you know? And I'm not sure if I want to really do it. When it didn't go through, I tried several times to get the application through, and there was a holdup because of the money aspect. I took it as a sign that possibly it may not be the best thing. And you might ask yourself myself, well, why, you're already in Africa, in Rwanda, why would you want to apply for citizenship from another African country? Well, just that I think the initial excitement that a citizen from America got the citizenship from that country. And Benin, uh, I mean, I do have some of my genetics from Benin, and so that excites me. But also that um, I think it's good to have a backup plan if for whatever reason something happens to you in another country. Something happened and you have to leave. I want that backup. And so when I first heard that Shakira got citizenship, and again, she probably got the provisional citizenship, not the full blown one, you know. So it'll take a while to get your passport because they're not going to give you the passport right away. Did any of you hear about Shakira, the singer, American singer, and she just got her citizenship? The country Benin opened up doors of opportunity either in June or July of this year. Yeah, June or July. And I was initially very excited and excited that, Benin is very they hold on to their traditional African religion, and that excited me. And I think that like my father was a very tall, dark-skinned man and slim. And Benin and northern Nigeria, the people tend to be real tall and big. So I thought, oh wow, maybe my father's, maybe he got his height and his color from Benin, or northern Nigeria. So when I saw that Benin was offering citizenship, I said, hey, why not? Why not? So it was initially that component that excited me to it. And I said, let me just see, you know, let me just see if I can, hey, is this an option? Is that an option? I asked myself. So, um, but I have to be, but when it didn't go through, as I said, I started wondering whether that's a warning to not apply. Again, it never hurts to apply. And again, if you do get accepted, you get the provisional citizenship. But then again, you have to actually live there to get the permanent citizenship. And I have to be honest, people. I looked at some videos of what Benin looks like. Now, they have a badass statue. People, you got to look at it. They have a badass statue there of a female warrioress. Yes, it was done so beautifully. I said, wow. It was so professionally done. It's a giant statue. When they had people standing next to it, I said, wow, this is humongous. It looked like, the Jesus statue in Brazil. It was like that. It was beautifully done. I say, yes, well done. But I hope they have their male counterpart there. I'm all for, the strength of a woman, but I like strong men personally. Strong, I want to say a strong male warrior personally. It's good to see strong women, but I like strong men. So anyway, what it looked like, I was concerned about the infrastructure of Benin. My friend was telling me that it's supposed to be okay. I have to ask her specifically how many times she went there, my new friend. She travels Africa, but I have to ask us more specifically about it. But she said that it has an infrastructure. Um, but again, I'm spoiled. I'm born and raised in America, and some things you're used to. That infrastructure to 24/7 services. So what they showed on YouTube, um, I was concerned about the development of, like they showed what was considered the Bel Air of Benin. And to me, it didn't look like, I mean, yes, the buildings were big, but big doesn't mean beautiful, And that infrastructure, that real social infrastructure of commerce, of being able to travel and go from one location to another. I want that, especially as you get older. And I didn't want to leave a place like Rwanda. Now, Rwanda is nice and hilly, it's green, but Benin is not the same. I didn't see the trees, the grass, and it looked very flat. And I like Rwanda. I love all, see the tropics. I like that. I love that. So I don't know. I don't know whether I want to go all the way with it. I mean, it doesn't hurt to try. And if I don't get it, I don't get it. But I just want to leave certain doors open, especially because my African genetics is heavily, heavily West African. Right all along there, from Nigeria all the way next to Gambia. That whole strip, my African genetics. So, why not, go to where your genetic heritage is. Uh, so I don't know. But I want to do what is best for me, and I don't want to go from one location to a location that is not as good. I always want to go up the ladder. You don't want to go. Sometimes you got to go down to go up. But being here on the continent, I mean, because the the haves and the have not in on that continent is extreme. I'm no lie, it is extreme. The people are nice here. They're nice, but I'm just being real. When you get older, you want comfort, people, right? Am I wrong? Am I wrong, people? Am I wrong that as you get older, you want the comforts? You want to be able to buy shoes. I mean, I got big feet. I'm taller than maybe 95% of the people here. I'm tall. When you're tall, you got bigger feet usually, right? So so even if I wanted to get shoes, where am I going to get it? You know? Wait a minute. Sorry, it's a plane coming. So where am I going to get it? Where are you? Wow, it's after 11 o'clock in the morning. I'm sorry. I have to get up soon and feed my little dog. But yeah, people, where are you going to go? I mean, you want comfort. And again, I'm a tall woman. I'm considered tall, and you need clothes that will be able to fit you, and especially footwear. You're in Africa. You're walking. You want good footwear. You need to protect your feet. The landscape here, they have the dirt roads. You better have rugged footwear. You know, people don't wear heels here. They don't have heels. You wear flats, you know. So I mean, I guess if you go into a function, you're gonna have your car, or taxi, and they drive you at this plot at the plot at the place, and you wear your heels. But again, I'm older, and I used to wear heels in my younger days, but not anymore, honey. I had foot problem that started this February of 2025, and it's still bothering me. I don't, what happened to my foot should not have happened, but it happened. for whatever reason. And so, again, you're getting older, and the things that might have bothered you, that didn't bother you in the past, will bother you as you get older. So you have to be realistic. So so I did. I did the paperwork for applying for Benin citizenship. I have to go to my bank to find out are there other ways to send the money for my application. Okay, so I don't know. And again, um, there are other videos that I saw about the topic. Now the topic is growing about Benin. So now there's more videos since my first um, introduction to it about 3 weeks ago, no more than 3 weeks ago. And more people are talking about it and sharing information. Is it worth it? Like, um, you don't have the right to vote, like at least with the provisional citizenship. So what's the whole point of the citizenship if you can't vote, right? That was a concern. So I didn't want, I'm going to say it. Well, my concern is that some of these West African countries, they're not doing that well. They're not thriving as other places on the planet. And is this just a desperation of West Africa to take advantage of blacks in America, in particular, blacks in America? Even the poorest black in America is making probably more money than the average West African. I'm being honest. And that they might be really doing this as a money grab because you have to pay the fee, the processing fee. So they're getting money from that, right? And then they getting money. Let's say if you have to pay taxes, right? Um, but are you able to buy land too? See, citizenship, if you're able to buy land and if you're able to vote, those are the two, I think, in my opinion, key issues of citizenship. Can you vote in the presidential elections? And can you buy land? And if you can't, why go there? So that's what my concern was. Again, it doesn't hurt for me to apply. And if you don't go through the whole process, let's say you go through the process, let's say that you know something you can only apply once. You can only apply once. If you go apply for it and maybe you put a hold on it, you can only apply once and then that's it. You cannot apply again. So I don't want to lose this opportunity. And what if Benin really gets the act together and starts building infrastructure and stuff like that? I know that Ghana, most people, heard of Ghana, and a lot of blacks have gone to American blacks have gone to Ghana, or a lot of blacks living in Europe or moving to Ghana. But again. I've been hearing more and more complaints about Ghana. Yes, I've heard more and more complaints about Ghana, and that um, some of the people are not being treated well because of resources. And if you're perceived of having and your neighbor doesn't have, even though you might have bloodline from Ghana, yes, I definitely have blood from Ghana, bloodline from Ghana. Yes. But how will you be received and perceived? Being who you are. You are who you are. You'll be going into a place you've never been to, that you're new to, even though your genetics, your ancestors might be there, but it's a new generation that lived there in these West African countries. They didn't have to deal with colorism, segregation, and all that. And then you coming in with your baggage from Europe or North America or the Caribbean. And so uh, that introduction, the people that are, never left West Africa, they have to deal with you. And so perception, how will you be perceived? Will they like you? So these are things that I'm considering. I really would like to stay on the continent of Africa because that was um, my dream. When I left initially, I I wanted to experience a black society, a wealthy black society, a middle class black society. I wanted to be able, let's say, to go on a bus and it's a black bus, black owned bus. Have black, I wanted that experience because I couldn't find that in America. You have millions of black people living in New York City, millions of black people living in New York City, but we didn't have that infrastructure. It was just poverty. The stores, the black-owned stores, you very rarely see it in New York City. And the blacks that did have businesses, they're from the West Indies, a lot of them from Jamaica. And they usually have bakeries or a barber shop. And that's basically it. But like other types of business, they didn't have it in America where I lived. And I'm hearing that a lot about you. I'm hearing folks. What are you hearing too? But I'm hearing also you have blacks that are moving to South Africa. So I've been seeing videos on that, and yeah, but it seems like the blacks that they're interviewing who live in South Africa, they live in really bougie areas. They live on a golf course area, so it's gated. It's a private environment. So they don't live where you see all those riots happening and black on black crime, big time. They're even kicking out black people from other black countries in South Africa. And when I made a comment about it, some people got upset with me. I said, wait a minute. I'm not insulting, trying to insult, but these are some of the news footage that I had received, and that you had a man born and raised in South Africa, a black man who has a black South African mom, but his father was not was not a South African. He was a black from the neighboring African countries by South Africa, and they kicked him out of his house. This vigilante group, and they kicked him out. He had his business in his home, so he's no business. He has no business now. He's not able to take care of his kids. So I get confused about these things I hear on YouTube about the United States of Africa, and people like in places of South Africa are getting rid of the black migrants that are living in South Africa. So I thought I was concerned. I said, hey, well, what about the black Americans that are in South Africa? Well, see, it's a difference. See, when you have money, when you have a lot of, well, what might be considered a lot of money, these blacks that they had from America were black professionals. These weren't ghetto people from Black America. No, 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 no. These were what's considered more affluent. They had like one person worked for what do you call it, the FBI, uh, and then another guy. I'm not sure what he did, but man, he had money. Yeah, the one guy had Mercedes, new Mercedes, not these junky like you find in Africa. um, they get Europe Western cars, but a lot of them are stolen vehicles. They steal the cars from Western countries and ship them into Africa and have the African buy these used cars. Yeah, that is a reality. So, they're so eager to get a Western car and have, have people think that they're wealthy. Because, yeah, cars are more expensive here. So here, the African again, the black person again, is spending more for crap. We are paying more for crap. We're getting used cars from other parts of the world, and you're spending top dollar for it. Why not just get a brand new car and ship it in your country? It makes no sense. Yeah. Yeah, I bought a watch. Yeah, that was the other thing I wrote in my description of this video. Yeah, I bought a smart watch. Well, it was quite dumb. Something happened to it. I was pouring something. Yeah, I bought a water filter. Let me show you my water filter. See this water filter? It was very economical, and I was cleaning it yesterday, and a little water splashed on my new watch, my new smartwatch. It was not an Apple, but the Apple is more money. It was a Chinese, probably Chinese made. It had like a name that seemed Chinese. It was brand new. It was in a brand new box, and it's not working. Like if you ever like if you punch it, not that I ever done this, but you have a monitor, a computer monitor, and then something hit the screen and it turns these weird colors and these funny vertical lines, I mean horizontal lines. Yeah, it got damaged. It got damaged instantly. I have to bring it back to the store and find out, and I'm hoping that I could exchange it. But I have a feeling, people. I have a feeling. Too bad, they're going to say. Yeah, this is Africa. And I have a feeling they're going to say, too bad, so sad. Your watch is broken. And I just got it about a week ago. Yeah, I feel awful and I'm angry. I'm angry because, yeah, you buy things here. You buy electronic. I bought a rice maker. I bought it at just a little shop, a Chinese shop in Rwanda. It's a big store, and it's just basic stuff. They have some electronics. And my rice maker's not work. It's not even a year old. I went to make something yesterday in the rice cooker, and then I see that I opened the lid after a half an hour. The rice should have been cooked in a half an hour, if even that. And nothing happened. It was slightly warm, the surface of the cooker. And I look at the buttons and I see that it's on heating. It didn't cook. So I pressed the button, see what's going on. Yeah, there's something faulty. It's not working. Sure, I feel real angry. Yeah, yeah, when you go into certain, or I think the point I was making about Africa and, America, that even in Black America, the the communities, like and I'm from New York City, the quality of service and goods suck. You don't get the same variety as in other communities in America. And you could be a wealthy, black dude, black gal in America, in New York City, and you got to go out of your community to get good service, to get things made. You don't have black owned electronic shops in New York City, even though you got several million black people that live in New York City. But it's like it's the same thing. You have black communities, middle class, both people, both the men and the women are working. They have a house, but you have to lock your doors because those drug addicts there, and there, yeah, the place I lived got robbed twice. Well, it got robbed once, but they broke in twice, and one was one they actually got inside the house, the other one they got on the porch. But yeah, um, it got robbed. So we're not selective in the black community in America of who comes into our neighborhood, and just because someone is your color doesn't make them your friend, and they could be there to rob you. You better have a lock on your door and your windows, and so. Yeah, so it's hard to get good quality goods if you're living in a black neighborhood. And so many blacks feel forced to live in mixed race, like to be the token black in a white neighborhood, uh, because at least then you'll get the service, you know. And unfortunate here, it's pretty much the same thing. They don't have um, quality. It's hard to find quality goods. And this family that I met a week ago, I visited them a week ago. They have money. They have prestige and good jobs. The wife is retired. The husband works. Um, but he has friends that fly international, and he'll ask, hey, if you're going to such and such place, buy me such and such. So that's how he gets some of his stuff, he said, you know and it shouldn't be this way. It shouldn't. And this is one of the things that I'm angry about with being on the continent, sub-Sahara Africa.